The spread lines that you need to know for tonight's action, which includes another two-game set in the NBA. And where are we going to start, Joe? Of course, in the city of brotherly love. That's the Philadelphia 76ers at home to take on the Orlando Magic. This line opened up roughly a -1 point favorite in the landscape for the Philadelphia 76ers. But we've seen that grown, Joe. You see the graphic right there, -2.5 and a total of 222.5. Most people would have thought that the Orlando Magic would have this game at home, but playing against, a BG League team, a Gatorade League team, they weren't able to come up with a victory late in the season. So the Sixers are the home team tonight without Joel Embiid. What's your spread line tonight for this play-in matchup?
Well, I think it's interesting, Donnie, because we've seen the total get bet up from the open of the 220.5. We saw 1.5 as the opening number for Philadelphia, and we saw twos, now maybe 2.5s in some spots. So, well, we all know Joel Embiid is not playing in this game. So that was already baked into the number. So it's not that there is some sort of hope that Joel Embiid is going to all of a sudden show up on the court here for this game. So where is the Sixer love coming from? Or is it just that there's no Orlando love in the marketplace here? And listen, it's been up and down for Orlando, who had a chance to avoid this game altogether and couldn't beat the backups of Boston last game. But styles make fights here, Donnie. And without Joel Embiid, exactly who's protecting the rim against Boncaro and Franz Wagner here? And the answer is nobody. You're going to put a lot on Tyrese Maxey's shoulders here in order to be able to carry the load against Orlando. And I think, listen, Philadelphia wants to speed this game up. And if you like Philly, I get why you're betting the over here. But if you like Orlando, I don't think Orlando wants anything to do with a track meet. I think they want to make it physical. They want to slow the game down, and they're going to have to play some defense. And I think they can do that. I like the under in the game, Donnie. That's where I'm looking. I think Orlando, without Embiid, I think they can absolutely control the paint, control the rim, and I think that's going to lead to an under here tonight.
Golden State Warriors, Los Angeles Clippers. Game number 2 tonight out on the West Coast, 10 o'clock start. This line opened up at -5, Joe, and throughout the week, it's really hung around that 5.5-point mark for the favored Clippers, who are the home team here. Totalness opened up around 220.5, Joe. You see the graphic, now up to 221.5, but the question is that minutes restriction and what that means for the Golden State Warriors superstar, Mr. Curry. What are we looking at for a spread line tonight, Joe? Late night.
I get also why the over was bet up yesterday, Donnie. 220.5. We saw a lot of over money. We've seen nothing but Clipper money here. And, of course, that coincides with the announcement that Steph Curry will be on a minutes restriction here. I think they put 32 minutes down, like as if they need him to play 40. He won't be available for the other 8. But this is tough sledding, man. I don't know. To me, Donnie, if you're really going to limit Steph Curry, my question is, what do those non-Steph Curry minutes look like for Golden State? Because if the offense isn't any good without him, then how are we getting an over here? That's my problem, is I have no idea what Steph Curry is going to look when he's off the court. I know what he's going to look like when he's on the court, but what is this offense going to look like when he's off the court? And that's the problem. I think the Clippers absolutely are the right side. But as far as the total goes, you need Steph Curry to, 35, 38 minutes to get this thing, I think, up and over here tonight.
NBA playing rounds beginning yesterday, continuing tonight. We'll continue the rest of this week. And then the big boys coming this weekend with a nice little Saturday slate and a Sunday slate here. Sports Business Journal, Joe, says the NBA just completed its best 3-year attendance stretch ever. 22.18 million fans, averaging 18,108 per game, 97% arena capacity with 11 teams with sellout seasons. Third straight year hitting those marks. The NBA, apparently everybody does love it, Joe.
Yeah, I wonder, any of those teams in Utah, Indiana, Washington, D.C., what do we think? Are you selling out those games by some? No? Yeah, because half your league, you can't get 30 people to want to buy tickets and go see you tank. So, but hey, kudos on that, those overinflated numbers there.
And by the way, there's a reason they probably use the best 3-year attendance stretch ever and not just this last year. And understand this. I've been to Marlins games in Florida where they go, attendance, thank you, 9,762 fans. I look around and be like, It's me and 3 guys up there. Where do we get 9,000 from? It is what it is. You got good accountants. You can make it certainly work here. The NBA, a great 3-year stretch that not too many people are believing at this point. Now, here's a story we got to get to, Joe. This is what we like from NBA Central, and you might have thought it was from the Centel. The trademark application for Bronny's B9 logo under Nike has been denied, per Mike Wallstein. Now, understand this. I don't know who has the B9 logo or who cares about it or how much money you can make off it, but let me tell you right now, B9 ain't selling nowhere. Be gone at this point right now. So it looks like the USPTO, which stands for the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, turned down the application because examining attorney P. Scott Craven deemed the logo too similar to the B9 logo created by Back Nine Golf Apparel Company. Stop it. Bronny, just put your stuff out there. Nobody's going to steal that logo and put a tat on their body that you're going to want to come back for compensation. Just move on.
I swear, if I ran him over in the road, I wouldn't know who he was, Donnie. I honestly, I'd like get out, be like, "Oops, sorry," and just drive away. Like all right, I guess. Yeah, go ahead, try to. I think we should do that, Donnie. Any way we can fill out patents, try to get it ourselves here on this show, all squared away. In case anybody wants to get a tattoo, what do you think?
The B9 logo. We're doing too much out here. Just like trademark like the name Bronny, and we'll be fine with it. B9 logo.
Score 20 in an NBA game.
Yeah.
I love that.
Knew that his number was 9 anyway at this point. Yeah, just we're trying to patent stuff. The patent office is like B9. Who is Bronny? He's number 9 now. Get that out of my face. Yeah, Back Nine Golf is B9. That's what we've always known it for. How about Luka Doncic? Here we go once again. Let me understand this as well. Luka goes down with a hamstring injury, which you know it's going to be weeks. Luka disappears from the Lakers, ends up in Europe, and the timeline is like, yeah, he's getting these awesome treatments. It looks like he's going to be back ready to go for game number 1. Now we hear Luka Doncic's inner circle has confirmed his original injury diagnosis and recovery timeline remain unchanged. Did he just say, you know what? I'm going on a European vacation for a couple weeks, and I'm not actually getting treatment or working out?
Pretty funny, Donnie. Talking to one of my friends in a risk room in Vegas yesterday, and he's going, I cannot believe the amount of Laker money that has just come in. He's like, today. It's unbelievable. But it also coincided with that news that we told you yesterday that Luka could be back. He's back with the team. He could very well be there. All of a sudden, by 6 o'clock last night, it comes across, yeah, Luka's already been ruled out for the game. And there comes the Houston money. It's so unbelievable. It doesn't matter. You're going to get Laker money no matter what, Donnie. It doesn't make a difference one way. Bronny's going to play. Luka's playing. Yep. You're still going to get Laker money in the postseason.
Father and son teeing it up in the playoffs with a B9 logo out there that's now untrademarked. Have at it, people, if you want to make some coin off of B9. How about this, though? Let's talk about Zion Williamson. Will he be traded? Will he not be traded? Here's Joe Dumars talking about the subject.
Just another thing related to Fletcher's question, maybe giving you an opportunity to get out ahead of something that's going to come up. Mm-hmm. If all the basketball ops chiefs are doing their job the way you think they should, mm-hmm. they're all going to look at Zion being available for up to 65 games because he shut him down the last 3 and averaging 21 points. And they're going to call you mm-hmm. and discuss him. Mm-hmm. And then reports are going to come out that you're, discussing potential trades with Zion Williamson. What do you want to, that's how that stuff happens, right? And so,
absolutely.
Do you want to?
Exactly how it happens.
So what do you want to say about the prospect of that this offseason with him? Because he's a lightning rod, obviously.
Yeah, he is, and I'll get those calls. And even when you say no to people, like no, we're not moving Zion. Within 2 hours, it's out that you had conversations about trading for Zion, and so listen, we have no intentions of doing that. We're going into the off season, looking forward to Zion coming back next year and playing great again next year. But yeah, these phone calls come in and people ask about a player and you say no, and then 2 hours later it's like, yeah, they had a conversation about a player. And I'm going, that's true, but you left out maybe the most important part, which is we said no.
Sooner than later, the Pelicans probably should be good, but it's been a long time since they've been back. They are not good at this point right now, and it is the way it is, and they're looking to trade Zion, and Joe Dumars is saying no at this point. I'll tell you, I'll give you a little bit of hint, Joe. Makes no difference if they trade Zion or not. They're going to stink again next year and probably stink for the next 5 years as well.
Well, the question is, Donnie, are you going to get another season where he can play 65 or more games? I mean, it feels like this was kind of a first, season. Right? I mean, yeah, but listen, they've got players, New Orleans. So, yeah, if you can keep Zion healthy like you did this year, and you got DeJounte Murray, and you've got, Herb Jones, you've got some guys that can play, maybe they won't be as terrible as they were this year.
How about guys that can play, as in Bam Adebayo? You'd like to have him in the biggest game of the season all the way through, but he was tripped. Let's hear from Spo right now. What happened?
I didn't see it, but I don't think it's cute. I don't think it's funny. I think it's a stupid play. It's a dangerous play. Obviously, our best player is out. I'm not making an excuse. The Hornets played great, and they made those plays down the stretch. We had our opportunities to win. That's a shame. He should be penalized for that. I don't think that belongs in the game. Tripping guys, shenanigans, and Curtis was there. It's his responsibility to see that. And if it's not his responsibility, then Zach's got to see it. If somebody has got to see that, and that he should have been thrown out of the game, for that.
I apologize on that one. I mean, I got hit in the head, didn't really know where I was, but I'm going to check on him and see if he's okay and everything.
LaMelo, it kind of looked like on film that you might have grabbed his leg. I mean, did you intentionally grab his leg?
I haven't even seen. Like I said, I got hit in the head, didn't even know where I was, but yeah, just playing basketball. But like I said, sorry, and I'm going to check on him.
All right, so that means he had a concussion and played through it. Should he be in concussion protocol and out for the rest of the playoff run for them now? Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, that didn't help his cause at all, that explanation, because you getting hit on the head and purposely wrapping your hand around the guy's ankle on one leg and ripping his leg out so he falls on his... No, and Spo's right, because everybody saw it, even the broadcast teams, everyone's like, why is this not a flare? Like, what is going on here in this game? And the ref was standing right there and didn't say anything.
How about this, Joe? Last night, did you miss it? I did, because I was fast asleep. A 114-110 victory for the Portland Trail Blazers by Denny Avdija's 41-12 effort. The road team, Trail Blazers, pick up the victory.
A classic game of 3 is more than 2, and Portland took 47 three-point attempts there last night. More than half of their attempts came from three-point range, and that is why they were able to win that game last night.
2 basketball games last night. The Hornets, 127-126. They move on. The Trailblazers, 114-110 over the Suns. They move on, Joe. And we have a doubleheader once again tonight in the association. Game number 1. Orlando Magic and the Philadelphia 76ers going to do business. Then late night, the battle of the Golden State, the Warriors, and the Clippers. Right back at it on the early lineup. It is a Wednesday here. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ranieri. And now we welcome in Kevin Walsh. Kevin, how you doing today? I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything, Joe. Do you hear anything in the background?
A lot of crying. That's all I hear is crying right now. So he must be upset because I heard Luka won't be playing in the playoffs here for the Lakers, unfortunately.
Actually, just got a text from Kevin, and it says right now that, oh, no, due to the B9 Bronny James logo not being approved by the patent office here, he won't be coming on as in protest. So, Joe, the show must go on. We must be able to handle our business and let Kevin worry about Bronny James and the B9 logo, which brings us up tonight, Joe, to 2 games in the association. One at 7:30 p.m., one at 10 p.m. tonight. Game number 1 in Philadelphia, the Orlando Magic and the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers opened up as the light favorite, Joe, -1.5. But we're now seeing 2.5s in the marketplace as a favorite for the Philadelphia 76ers with no Joel Embiid. How does that stick there, Joe, for you? The Sixers as the favorite tonight in South Philadelphia.
Well, that's the key to me. If Embiid had been playing here, and it's amazing because this opened up 1.5 for Philadelphia. So it moved a half a point to a point, Donnie. I mean, 2s is pretty much the prevailing number right now across the board. So for it to move a half a point to a point, that means Embiid was already not being there was already baked into this number. So then the question is, do we trust Philadelphia with a banged up Maxey and Edgecombe and Paul George? Are they going to be enough to dictate the pace against a very, a pretty big and physical Magic team that when they play, they can be a big time headache here to Philadelphia. And that's the big question. I find it fascinating that the total has been bet up more than the side at 222.5 now, even 223s. I'm beginning to see, Donnie, which is interesting because I don't think Orlando wants to get into a shootout with the Sixers. I think they want to control pace, control the paint, control the boards, and not give them any extra shots. So, Embiid would have been a difference maker in this matchup. Without him there, it's tough for Philadelphia. I think they're going to have their hands full.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, too. And also cheap seats there down at the, Xfinity Mobile Arena, as they call it now, where not a lot of energy, I got to tell you, Joe, in the tri-state area up here for the Philadelphia 76ers, and rightfully so. All Sixers fans do is get kicked in the you-know-whats every single year. Usually it's Joel Embiid eventually making it to the playoffs, then getting injured or something freak happening. Not the case this year. He's not even probably going to make it to the playoffs unless they get a super deep run, which probably is not coming here. The Flyers obviously playing good. They're going to be in the playoffs as well as the start of the baseball season here. And, of course, the Philadelphia Eagles in the draft coming up. Doesn't leave a lot of room for those Philadelphia 76ers. Game number 2 tonight, Joe, is going to be a 10 o'clock start from the Golden State, which includes the Golden State Warriors taking on the Los Angeles Clippers in Los Angeles. This line was always around 5 points as a favorite towards the home team Clippers, but now it's increased slightly to -5.5, a 221 total that's listed there. But the biggest question mark is on Steph Curry. He's on a minutes restriction, Joe. We don't know how many minutes that's actually going to be until we see it play out. But how do we feel tonight between the Warriors and the Clippers?
Yeah, and that's the biggest question, Donnie, is not so much what are they going to look like with Curry on the court. We know that. But what do those minutes look like when he's not on the court? And I think that's going to be the big question. I mean, listen, there are, going back over the last decade, the idea to get Kawhi Leonard, a future Hall of Famer versus Steph Curry, a future Hall of Famer, it would have been must-watch television. But this version of the Warriors is not what it was in years past. The supporting cast is good. It's just not great. I think the Clippers have the better supporting cast, and Kawhi versus Steph, as good as that's going to be, somebody else like a Darius Garland is going to have to show up here, and I think they will here tonight at home. I think the Clippers will get it done, but I don't trust them enough to lay 5.5. That's the problem here.
Little bit of look ahead numbers here, Joe, coming up. As we told you, we don't know who the ones and the 2 seeds are going to play, who winds up being the 7th and the 8th overall. But we do know, Joe, the other seeds that will take place on Saturday: a 1 o'clock game, a 3:30 game, a 6 o'clock game, and an 8:30 game. Raptors, Cavaliers, Timberwolves taking on the Nuggets, Hawks and the Knicks, and then the Rockets and the Lakers. And if we do start with the Rockets and the Lakers, which is the nightcap on Saturday from LA, it is interesting to some that the Rockets would be a 5.5-point favorite as a road favorite. But as we know, no Austin Reeves, no Luka Doncic, no real chance maybe for the Los Angeles Lakers. It'll be Bronny at home, but in what we might have thought would have been a deep run for the Lakers with all of their players combined and intact, it just seems like it's now LeBron James's team, and good luck with that.
That's the problem. And, Durant certainly would love nothing more than to stick it to LeBron here. But they're so beating up the Lakers. I mean, I would have loved this matchup had everyone been healthy for the Lakers, but that's not going to be the case here. And, they have a better chance of getting Reeves back with the oblique strain than they do, I think, Luka with the hamstring. So the problem is this series could be over before either guy is actually ready to get back here. Listen, I expect the Lakers aren't going to fold for anybody there, but I do think it's going to be too much Houston in this series.
Yeah, and the Portland Trail Blazers, Joe, which did win last night, they advance into the playoffs. They're going to take on the San Antonio Spurs on Sunday, and already being leveled out at a 10.5 to 11.5 point favorite, depending on where you're shopping at. One of the interesting games here, Joe, Saturday at 6 p.m., that's the Hawks and the Knicks here. The only shame is Trae Young doesn't play for the Hawks, because that is a great rivalry with a lot of really good chance and a lot of bing bong out there if he was there. But the Hawks are hot, but getting 5 on Saturday.
Yeah, they are. And this is going to be an interesting series here because I think the Knicks went 2-1 against the Hawks this year. They just played a little over a week ago in Atlanta, and the Knicks ended up winning 108-105. And it feels like, Donnie, that's the kind of series this is going to be, a big back and forth. Maybe the zigzag could be alive and well in this series between the Hawks and the Knicks.
And if nobody knows what Joe's talking about, the zigzag theory in the NBA, hey, this team won and covered tonight. Ain't no way they're going to win and cover the next night at that point. So something to keep an eye on here. And also understand the length of the first round here. You're going to get teams that are going to be really rested. Games instead of every other night or back-to-backs, every third and every fourth night here. Keep an eye on those veterans teams. They're going to get some breaks in the playoffs here. Best bets and more coming up next. Stay tuned. Fade the public or not, the question that was asked, Joe, which side are you taking in tonight's NBA play-in matchups here? Magic, Sixers, Warriors, and or Clippers. I'm looking at the live tally right now, 42.9%. They're taking those Sixers, Joe. Uh-oh. Does that mean Fade the Public is coming up next?
Oh, boy, we'll have to wait and see here. But listen, if we're just talking outright winners here, I do think the Clippers win that game outright, Donnie. I think they are the one team that will likely win. It just feels like Golden State, everything out of their mouth and everything they're doing is, can we hurry up and get this season over with? So I think the Clippers are the team that I think just wins outright and still has, by the way, one more game to play.
We'll see what happens tonight. A little Fade the Public action here. See if those Philadelphia 76ers, my Sixers, can win. And then it really is meaningless because they'll probably get a gentleman's sweep in the next series. But let's get to those best bets here. Here's bye. 4-0 to start the week. Joe went with an NBA total yesterday, which hit. I went with a team total Major League Baseball, which hit. Joe, where do we go today with your best bet?
Well, Donnie, it would appear that we absolutely have a pros and the sharps loving the Philadelphia 76ers here tonight as the money keeps rolling in. And you just mentioned it there with the poll, right? So the public seems to be all over Philadelphia as well, but I don't get it. And I do get it. Recency bias. Everyone just watched Orlando throw up all over themselves against the backups of Boston. But that's a different fight than what this one is going to be without Joel Embiid. Embiid in street clothes, to me, is advantage Orlando in a big, big way here. Listen, I think Orlando is going to win this game. I think they, and by the way, it's funny how it worked out that they had an extra day of rest here. But I think that's advantage Orlando as well here, Donnie. We're seeing over money. I don't get it. I think the Magic win this game outright. I'll take the 2.5 points. I will fade the public here tonight, Donnie. The Magic are a better matchup against the Sixers.
Tickets Edge on the early line begins right now. Donnie Rightside along with Joe Ranieri. The next half hour, we're going to take a look at ways to invest in a stock market-like approach, and that includes Major League Baseball and also the NBA. A lot of good stuff here, Joe, on the horizon for us right here on PME.
It's a good time of year because the prediction markets, of course, give you a great opportunity to hedge with some of these series coming up here in the playoffs, as well as the NHL championship, the run to the Stanley Cup, and still got a lot going on with Major League Baseball we'll have to keep an eye on as well.
Absolutely. Orlando at Philadelphia tonight. The play-in tournament does continue here on the Kalshi Marketplace. Around $515,000 in volume has been placed with Orlando and Philadelphia, but the Philadelphia 76ers are the favorites, Joe, currently trading at a 53% chance to win this game. Orlando, the underdog, at 47%. Joe told you already he likes the 2.5 points here, getting with the Orlando Magic with a legitimate chance for them to win this game outright, Joe. Orlando at Philadelphia, play-in round. The winner gets to move on to the next round.
Yes, they do here. And this is no Embiid is unfortunate for the Sixers here. But that means that the offense has got to come down to a couple of people, right? It's going to have to come down to Maxey. It's going to have to come down to Paul George. And it's going to have to come down to Edgecombe. Now, Maxey's still dealing with a finger issue there, Donnie, that kind of sidelined him for a little while. But the reality is, without Embiid, there's no rim protection. There's no paint, defense happening here, which means I think Orlando can take advantage of that. And while both of these teams have been a little inconsistent offensively, I get the move to the over, and I kind of agree with it because I think Orlando's going to have way more success in the paint, getting rebounds, putbacks. I think maybe the over now might be the best look in this game, as well as the side for Orlando.
And by the way, no discounts for Tyrese Maxey on his points prop here, even at Calcio, Joe. 30-plus points. Like, hey, that's a really big night. A $100 investment pays back $189. So it feels like a little bit of that juice there where you're expecting Maxey to be great. As Joe pointed out, still dealing with a lingering finger injury. And, of course, Orlando knows he's going to be the go-to guy. We'll see what we get out tonight from the Sixers and also Tyrese Maxey. Game number 2 tonight, Joe, of the play-in. The Golden State Warriors taking on the Los Angeles Clippers. Currently trading on the Calcio marketplace, a 66% chance to win this game outright. That's on the Clippers. The underdog Golden State Warriors with a minutes restriction placed on the superstar Steph Curry. They're currently trading at 34 cents here, Joe, which means an underdog price if you think they win it outright. Talking about the Warriors, a $100 investment pays back, Joe, $295.
Yeah, can't go wrong here. And again, we had talked about it. We think the Clippers are the right side, but much like, well, we kind of thought that Charlotte was the right side last night, but nobody wasn't running to go lay 5.5 or 6 points here with them. And listen, to me, this is all about what happens with the Steph Curry minutes when he's on the bench. And I think guys like Santos have got to show up here tonight. And they've done a great job in his absence already this season. But I think they're going to have to be just as good here tonight. If I'm looking at anybody, though, I'm probably looking at Kawhi Leonard in a game like this. His numbers will be inflated, but he's already averaging about 28 points a game here. So I think Kawhi might be a guy to focus in on, especially if you like the Clippers tonight.
By the way, what are we going to get out of Steph Curry in this game? It's not as if it's like, hey, he just took like a day or two off here to get ready for this one. 25 points or more for Steph Curry. A $100 investment only pays back $162. You bump that up here, Joe, to 30-plus points. That's currently trading at 38 cents. That $100 investment pays back $264. But a minutes restriction means he's going to have to get hot early. And also, if he does get hot early, do they sort of extend that minutes restriction here to see if he needs to play down the stretch if they're winning that basketball game? A lot to find out tonight, but 2 games in the association with a lot on the line. Pro basketball finals matchup here. OKC Boston, currently trading as the favorite at a 26% chance here, followed by Oklahoma City and Cleveland here at a 12% chance, San Antonio, Boston, and so forth and so forth. Boston is not the top seed in the East. Oklahoma City is the top seed in the West. So a 1 versus 2 matchup is what the anticipation here is in the predictive markets, Joe.
So, I mean, listen, it's not as easy as just, pencil them through. They're going to make it. Nah, I think Denver has got a real shot at this again this year, Donnie. I'd be hard-pressed in a 7-game series to think you're just going to walk right through them. And I don't care. San Antonio is going to have to finally do something they couldn't do the last game of the year, and that's beat Denver. But they're going to have to beat them in a series, and I don't know that that's happening.
What happened yesterday when we were talking about Atlanta being in the finals here as one of those popular matchups? Maybe just a programmer having some fun with the people out here. But how about the finals MVP winner, Joe? The favorite by a wide margin.
Yes.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 42%. Why? The expectations that Oklahoma City wins it. Therefore, the best player on the team does get the MVP. Followed closely, not really, only 18% by Victor Wembanyama and Nikola Jokic at 9%. I know you got your eye on Jokic down there, Joe.
Absolutely. And listen, if you think Boston is the team coming from the East, then you'd be crazy not to look at Jaylen Brown as well at 7-8 cents right now. So, yeah, this is a correlated market here. You got to be in it to win it, right? So whoever can get to the finals, whatever teams you think that is, the MVP nod, SGA does not excite me at 42 cents, Donnie.
I got to tell you, like the number one overall seed in the East, Joe, is the Detroit Pistons. Kate Cunningham is trading at 5% right now, which means a $100 investment pays back $2,000 on the best player on the number one seed in the East. That's something that maybe doesn't need to get to the finals, but just the Eastern Conference Finals. And that ticket goes from 5% to 8% to 10% and can already be profitable. They make it into the finals, that jumps to 25, 35, 45%, depending on what those finals prices would be at this point. Something to keep an eye on here. And that's what we do on prediction markets right here on the early line.